Welcome, dreamers. Tonight we dive into one day in the Black Death's wake. As a graveyard sleeper who forgot to die. The world around you is gone. Not just silent, not merely asleep. Gone. You wake in a place that shouldn't exist, with breath you shouldn't have, in a body that should be dust. The sky is a heavy canvas of ash-colored dawn, low and unmoving, and the air smells faintly of old wood smoke and something sharper, like lavender soaked in vinegar. It clings to the inside of your nose. You lie beneath something weighty. It isn't a blanket. It's earth, damp and pressed over your chest like a warning. Your fingers twitch, brushing moss and half-decayed twine. There's no coffin, just you, half submerged in soil and the curious crunch of dry straw, as if someone made your bed in haste or regret. You sit up too fast. The world tilts. A crow on a leaning headstone startles and takes flight, its wings flapping like wet fabric. The field before you is stitched with wooden crosses and split stones, some tipped over, some missing entirely. No flowers, just weeds, and the occasional leather shoe poking through the dirt, as if the earth grew tired of keeping secrets. You look down. Your clothes are threadbare and stained. Mud streaks your arms. Beneath the grime, the skin is pale, but unmarked. Not even a wound to explain how you got here. And yet, you remember lying down. Or rather, you remember being laid down. That's when the thought slips in, silent and sour. I shouldn't be here. Not because of the grave, but because you were never meant to wake up from it. This is not a ghost story. Ghosts float. You feel the weight of your own bones. Your belly aches from emptiness, and the wind stings your eyes. Whatever you are not air and sorrow. You are flesh and confusion. You are something left behind. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments, what time is it where you are, and where in the world are you watching from tonight? You're not just hearing this story, you're living it. Right here, right now, through someone else's eyes. There's a ridge just beyond the graveyard, a soft rise covered in dying grass. You walk slowly toward it, feet bare, one toe catching on a buried nail. The pain is sharp and welcome, real. The air thickens with that sour, sweet stench again. Old death, ripe death. But it no longer scares you. You smell like it. From the top of the hill, the world appears broken. The town below should be bustling, the bell in the church tower ringing out morning prayers, smoke curling from hearths, a milkmaid calling her cow by name. But there's only stillness. The bell hangs crooked. A shutter claps in the wind. No footsteps, no laughter. Not even the moan of the sick. You blink at the strange quiet. It isn't just the absence of people. It's the absence of presence. As if the whole town took a collective breath and never exhaled. You descend into it slowly. The first thing you notice is the bread. A round of it, speckled with mold, sitting on a windowsill. Someone left it there once. But how long ago? It looks like it's waiting for a hand that will never return. The flies have found it, circling in lazy spirals, dipping down for soft, fermented bites. A door swings open on rusted hinges. You call out, but your voice feels foreign, as though it skipped several months of use. It cracks, echoes, and no one answers. Inside, dust sleeps on every surface. A pitcher of water is half empty. A woolen scarf lies neatly folded on a chair. And on the hearth, blackened coals still whisper faint heat. Did they leave in haste? Or never leave at all? You touch a cloth doll slumped against a basket of apples long turned to mush. The doll has one eye, embroidered, crooked, staring. It watches you as if it recognizes your face. You walk again. House after house, all the same. Half-eaten meals, upturned stools, fireplaces gone cold. But no people. Not even the dead. Where are they all? The plague should have left bodies. And yet it's as if they were all gently erased. A memory scratches at the back of your skull. You push into it, but it fades, like breath on a mirror. All you know is you were part of this place. Once. You belonged. Someone loved you, perhaps, or feared you. Maybe you had a dog, a sister, a debt. You find yourself back at the edge of the graveyard, staring at a lopsided marker shaped like a teardrop. A name once carved there has been clawed away. Below it, the earth looks recently disturbed, and near it, so close your chest tightens, you see a satchel. Familiar. You pick it up. The strap is broken. Inside, a stone, smooth and black. A wooden comb. A page torn from some larger book, its ink smudged into nonsense. And a single glove, too small for your hand. Why would someone bury you with these? That's when you hear it. The click, then the creak. From behind a wall of ivy, a door opens slowly. Not far. Just enough to let out a thread of warmth and the faintest hint of rosemary. Someone is alive, or something pretending to be. You take a step forward, then stop. What if they know who I was, but not what I am now? The sun rises only slightly, a pale disk behind soiled clouds. Shadows stretch long. You feel no hunger, and yet your stomach growls. You feel no fear, and yet your feet remain still. A crow caws overhead. The same one, or its mate. You look back at your grave, the shallow cradle of dirt you clawed from, and something inside you stirs, not memory, not hope, just the beginning of a question. Why me? Why am I still here? When no one else is, I move toward the ivy-covered door, not out of courage, but because standing still feels worse. My legs feel uncertain beneath me, like a newborn foal. The weight of the satchel is oddly comforting, as if its strange contents, glove, comb, the smooth stone, offer some small claim on this world. The door groans as I press it open further. It swings into a cramped cottage, thick with the scent of dried herbs and something metallic beneath it. Iron or old blood. Light filters through shutter cracks, landing in lines across a crooked table. There's no sound at all, save for the buzz of a trapped fly somewhere above me. A kettle hangs over dead embers. Ashes drift across the floor like forgotten intentions. Along the walls, bundles of thyme, yarrow, lavender, and marigold hang drying, their scents faded to something ghost-like. A pair of boots by the door suggests someone once walked in them. But there's no sign of who that might have been. You step carefully across the room. On the table lies a ceramic bowl, empty save for the residue of something once thick and red. Not blood. Something herbal. Medicinal, maybe. Next to it, a feather. Just a common gray one, curved slightly at the edge like it fell from a moving wing. And then there's the chair, pulled back sharply from the table, tipped at an angle that suggests panic or flight. The cushions are worn, but the shape of the sitter still lingers, sunken into the padding. As if someone got up in a hurry and never returned. On the mantel rests a row of candles, all burned to different lengths. One is still warm. The wick curls upward, blackened but not cold. I call out again, softer this time. Hello? No answer, but something brushes past my ankle. I freeze. A cat, skinny, gray, and silent. It slinks out from behind a cupboard, tail twitching like a metronome. Its eyes are the only vivid thing in the room, sharp green, unblinking. It looks at me as if it's known me all along. Then it meows once, short and flat, not pleading, accusing. It pads across the floor and sits beside a rug near the hearth. Something stirs beneath it. I lift the corner slowly. A trap door. Its handle is smeared with fingerprints, small ones, and a faint print of something not human. 3 toes, long and thin. Not a dog, not a rat. I close the rug and step back. Number not yet. I leave the cottage through the back, down a path where weeds have overtaken the stones. The gate is off its hinges. Beyond it, the town opens wide like a wound. The bells have stopped. I don't know when I realized it. Maybe they were still echoing in my mind long after they truly fell silent. But now the absence is clear. The tower looms above the chapel, leaning slightly as if weary. The bell hangs at a crooked angle, and something dark stains the wood beneath it. I move through the square. Every step is too loud. My soles slap the stone like I'm walking through someone else's dream. Doors gape open. A ladder lies abandoned mid-climb against a thatched roof. A wheelbarrow overturned, its contents long spoiled. Cabbages turned black. A pair of gloves, child-sized, soaked through and drying stiff on a fence post. Something about that gives me pause. The fence surrounds a schoolhouse. The windows are fogged from within, not with steam, but dust. I push the door gently, and it opens inward without resistance. The scent inside is chalk, mildew, and something vaguely sweet, like old ink. Tiny desks sit in uneven rows. Most have paper on them, though the ink is faded and the lines shaky. Some scrawls are complete sentences, some just letters repeated over and over. Across a page like a child practicing their name. A wooden slate on the teacher's desk bears a single word, written in thick white. Gone. I walk to the corner of the room where the dust is least disturbed. That's where I find it. A chalk drawing on the floor, ringed with stones. A map. Or maybe a game. But it's wrong. It shows places I know. My town, the bell tower, the cemetery. But they're warped, distorted. Streets bend where they shouldn't. There's a lake drawn where no lake ever was. And beyond the town, a figure. No face, no name. Just a towering silhouette scribbled in angry spirals. A child's fear. My finger brushes it, and a strange warmth lingers. The chalk isn't dry. I rise quickly and almost trip over something tucked beneath a desk. $1, another one. This time with no eyes at all. I step back, heart thudding. Not fast, just hard. The kind of beat that feels like warning. From the rafters above, a board creaks. You look up, expecting a face, a bird, anything. But there's only shadow, and dust falling slowly through a beam of light, like ash. As I leave, I glance once more at the chalk figure looming on the map. I don't know why, but it feels like it's waiting, watching, and worse, it knows I've seen it. Outside, the sky has changed, not darker, just stranger. The clouds feel too low, as if they're listening. I hear the rustle of wind and something else beneath it. A hum, almost human, almost breath. And that's when I see it. At the far end of the square, leaning just out of view behind a tavern door, a shape. Not quite man, not quite shadow. It slips back when I look directly. But it was there. Someone, or something, is following me. I don't chase it. Not because I'm afraid, though I am, but because I have the deep, unspeakable sense that whatever it was didn't move away. It simply let itself fade, like a breath held behind a curtain. I stand in the middle of the square longer than I should, hoping something will shift, hoping I'll see movement in a window, or hear a cough, or catch the smell of stew. But the world remains sealed in its hush, wrapped in the thick velvet of forgotten days. Dust rolls by in tiny storms. The well stands open but untouched, and I wonder how long it's been since a bucket was lowered. I try to recall the name of the tavern. I've passed it 1,000 times, haven't I? It's familiar, but so is everything in a way that makes me doubt it was ever mine. The lettering above the sign is faded beyond reading, and the emblem carved in wood, 2 foxes twined together, is cracked down the middle. The door swings open with a dry moan. Inside, chairs are overturned and tankards lie where they fell, some with long dried traces of beer pooled around their bases. The hearth has gone cold, but ash still holds the shape of logs, perfectly preserved. It feels like a play, mid-performance, where the actors have vanished, but the stage remains stubbornly set. Behind the counter, a notebook lies open. My hands tremble as I reach for it. Not from fear, something deeper. Reverence. The ink has smudged, but I can make out parts of the last entry. They've stopped coming, even the priest. We heard the last bell 2 days past. I sealed the doors last night. I think I saw him again, behind the yew tree, watching, waiting. That word again. Waiting. The next page is blank, save for a single line scrawled sideways across the bottom. He only takes the ones who forget their names. I shut the book slowly, the weight of it wrong in my hands. Heavier than it should be. I don't remember my name, not even a trace of it, not a syllable. Did I ever have one? As I stand behind the counter, a soft thump sounds from upstairs, the kind of sound that says, "You're not alone." I move slowly toward the staircase, placing each foot with care. The steps creak but don't groan. I reach the upper floor and find a hallway with 3 doors, all closed. One has something carved into it, not words, just deep, uneven gashes, like someone dragged a blade across the wood with trembling hands. The door swings inward as I touch it. The room beyond is empty. Mostly. The bed is still made, though the pillow has a faint impression, as if someone only recently lifted their head from it. On the nightstand is a small dish with a ring, a bent spoon, and a scrap of cloth with something written in tiny stitches. I remember the bells. I pocket it without thinking. As I turn to leave, I see the window, shuttered, sealed, and yet the curtain flutters. A breeze. The room holds its breath, just like I do. There's nothing else here. Not that I can see, but I still feel it. Someone was just here. Or something still is. Back outside, the wind has picked up. It carries the smell of something burned, sharp and acrid, but not fresh. Like a memory of fire. It clings to my clothes, my skin. I walk without direction now, just trying to stay moving. I pass the bakery, its windows blackened with soot. The door hangs open. Inside, loaves sit petrified on wire racks, unmoved. One has a child's bite taken from it, hardened mid-meal. Farther down the street, I see the tailor's shop. The curtains inside are torn. A bolt of fabric lies unraveled across the floor, crimson dyed, its edge dragging into the street like a trail. Something twitches behind it. I stop. Just the wind, I tell myself, but the curiosity itches stronger than fear. I step inside. The mannequins greet me first, half-dressed figures in half-finished garments. They've always been unsettling, haven't they? Faceless, limbs poised like dancers frozen mid-movement. One leans forward slightly, as if trying to whisper a secret. I brush past it. In the back, the sewing bench is covered in needles, some stained. One is snapped in half. A scrap of wool clings to it, gray and soft. There's a child's cloak draped over the chair, half-hemmed, one sleeve inside out. There's something about it that curls cold into my stomach. It's mine. I don't know how I know that, or how a cloak could be mine when I don't even remember the shape of my hands as a child. But I do. The threads remember me. And then a sound from the fitting room behind the curtain. A cough. Wet. Guttural. I freeze, not a breeze, not a floorboard settling, not an echo. A human cough. I push the curtain aside slowly. Nothing. Just a stool, a cracked mirror, and a bundle of fabric on the ground. I turn back, but the mannequin closest to the door has shifted. It's now facing me. I didn't hear it move. The sound of something running behind the walls stops my breath. Then silence. Something is playing with me, testing how much I'm willing to follow, how much I need to remember. And a new thought, darker than the others, curls its way up my spine. What if I'm not the only one still wandering this town? Or worse, what if the others never left, but learned how to hide better than I did? I leave the tailor's shop without looking back at the mannequin. If it turns to watch me go, I'd rather not know. The door sticks for a breath before groaning closed behind me, sealing in its strange stillness like a breath held too long. The wind has grown more insistent now. It pushes dry leaves in spirals across the street, tugging at my sleeves and hair, as though trying to guide me somewhere, anywhere. But there's nowhere left to be led. Just ruins of lives, empty nests of once-breathing homes. I turn the corner and pause. There it is, my house, or what my body believes is mine. Though my mind still can't give it a name, the shutters are closed. The garden gate hangs loose on one hinge, creaking slightly even in the stillest air. The small path is overgrown, but not completely. Something, or someone, has walked here recently. The weeds are flattened, just enough to suggest motion, a trail that ends at the door. I hesitate before entering. The fear isn't about what I'll find. It's about what I won't. Inside, the smell of rosemary hits me like a blow to the chest. Not rotting, not burnt, fresh, alive. Someone boiled it with oil and lavender, probably as protection or ritual. I breathe it in, and for a moment, I'm not in the present anymore. I'm 6, or 16, or some age in between, and someone is humming in the next room. I freeze, because the humming doesn't stop when I notice it. It gets louder, soft, rhythmic, tuneless, like a lullaby for no one, or everyone. My hands tremble as I move deeper into the house. The sound seems to come from everywhere and nowhere. My eyes scan the hearth, the shelves, the little wooden spoon still resting in the stew pot. Everything is dusted in time. I round the corner and find an empty chair, gently swaying, still warm. The humming stops. My breath catches in the hollow of my throat. There's no one here, but I'm not alone. I go upstairs. Each step is familiar underfoot. The creak in the fourth stair, the chill at the turn of the railing. My fingers slide along the banister like they've done it 1,000 times before, and perhaps they have. Perhaps they never stopped. The upper floor is quiet, too quiet. I reach a small door at the end of the hall, my room. I know it before I open it. The knob fits my hand with a perfect familiarity. Inside, the room is dim, A small bed, carefully made. A chest under the window. A cracked bowl with dried lavender still nestled at the bottom. And the unmistakable scent of my childhood. Dust and pages, wool and wood smoke. I sit on the edge of the bed and run my hands over the coverlet. It's patched in places I recognize. Stitching I remember watching, needle in, needle out. Fingers moving faster than mine ever could. And there, hanging on the wall, a simple painting. A tree. A twisted yew. Its trunk spiraling like a question or a scream. Beneath it, a small stone marker, drawn with shaking brushstrokes. One corner of the painting has been rubbed away, like someone tried to forget it existed. Why would I have that painting here? Who would give a child a picture of a grave? I reach into the satchel. The glove, the stone, the comb. None of it means anything yet, but it all belongs here. Like puzzle pieces waiting for a memory to snap into place. My fingers trace the edge of the comb. A flicker hits me, sudden and sharp. A girl, laughing, braiding hair. Mine? Hers? I can't hold the image. It slips like smoke. I reach for the chest beneath the window. It groans as I open it. Inside, clothes, folded. A small wooden flute. A page torn from a book of prayers. And beneath it all, a single sheet of parchment, aged to near translucence. On it, a name. Mine. But the ink has bled. It's unreadable. And now I realize something terrible. I could hold it to my chest forever and still not remember how it sounded aloud. I don't know who I am, or was, or whether the name even matters anymore. I close the chest and sit quietly for a moment, letting the quiet creep in again. But it's not peaceful. It's waiting. There it is again. That feeling I can't shake. Something knows I woke up. I look outside. From my window, I can see across the rooftops. The bell tower still leans. The streets still sleep. But one building draws my eye, just barely visible behind the next ridge. The old bell ringer's quarters. Why does that place hum beneath my ribs? I leave the house, letting the door swing gently shut behind me. In the street, a faint trail of crushed lavender leads away from the doorstep. I follow it without thinking. The path winds through back alleys, narrow and sunken. Rats scurry out of sight. A woman's shoe lies half submerged in a puddle, its lace trailing like a lost whisper. The farther I go, the more the air changes. Thicker, heavier, like the town's been holding its breath too long. The bell ringer's tower rises out of the mist like a snapped finger bone. Narrow, stone-built, wrapped in ivy and thyme. Its door is nailed shut, but the boards are brittle with rot. I pry one free with a groan. Inside, it smells of wax and sweat and old ink. There's a spiral stair curling up along the inner wall. I climb it slowly, fingers trailing the stone for balance. Dust coats every step, but here and there I see footprints, bare, human, not old. At the top is a small room, a cot, a bowl of melted wax, and on the table, a journal. Its cover is cracked leather, the clasp snapped open. The pages within are frantic, crowded, desperate. Drawings, names, symbols I don't understand. And then, a page with my face. Drawn in charcoal, smudged, but unmistakable. Below it, buried before the toll, exhumed after the silence, and a final line, written in red ink. Still walking, still unfinished. The bell above me shifts slightly in the wind. A dull creak. Dust rains down. And from somewhere below, footsteps. Slow, deliberate, coming up the stairs. But there is no one else in this town. Not living anyway. The footsteps continue, unhurried and steady, like someone who knows there's no need to rush, like someone who knows exactly where I am. I hold my breath, not because it will help, but because it might delay the sound of my heart, which now pounds loud enough to give me away. I back toward the window. It's narrow, barred, but open to the breeze. The cold air presses against my skin, grounding me for a moment. I peer out, 3 stories up. The fall wouldn't kill me. I'm not even sure death applies anymore. But something deep inside insists, don't jump. Not because I'll die, but because someone, or something, wants me to. The steps reach the final turn of the spiral, then silence. No door creaks open, no figure enters. Just the thick hush of something holding position just out of sight. Waiting. I grip the journal in shaking hands, uncertain what to do with it. Burn it? Hide it? Read it all? My eyes flick back to the page with my face. Still walking. Still unfinished. I flip back 1 page. More scrawl. The bell ringer, if it was him, had filled the book with entries in uneven handwriting. Some clear, others manic, maps, dates. Then this. The sleepers aren't all dead. Some lie too close to the edge. The bell was meant to call them fully across. But when it cracked, the sentence trails off. Cracked. I glance up at the bell above me. Massive, tarnished, a jagged split running down one side like a wound. So it rang once. Half a toll. A death note without closure. Is that what left me halfway between? I hear nothing from the stair now. Not even breath. Only wind curling through the slats above me, and the soft, metallic hum of the bell swaying gently in its cradle. I clutch the journal and inch toward the stairwell. Empty. Nothing waits below. Not even dust disturbed. But I know what I heard. The echo still rings inside me. Back on the ground, I step into the alley again. The light has shifted. The town is growing dim, not from twilight, but from something stranger. Like the sky itself is forgetting how to be bright. I clutch the satchel tighter. I don't remember packing it. I don't know if I ever did. But it's mine now. My only anchor in this town of flickering memory. I pass the apothecary on instinct. The painted sign swings on rusted chains. A mortar and pestle, faded nearly white. I push the door, and it creaks open without resistance. Inside, the air is thick with dust and dried herbs. Shelves sag under jars filled with strange contents. Roots, powders, tiny bones. A cauldron rests cold on the hearth. But beside it, a work table holds something recent. A ledger, fresh ink, a list of names. I skim the entries. Thomas, son of Elric. 3 vials Mara of Eastgate. Tonic for fevers unknown, no name. Marked with cross, to be buried before dusk. And there, again, a line marked in red. Subject reanimated. Returned to sight. Bell never finished. There's a smear of ink below it, as though someone tried to scrub it out. A memory rises. Dark, heavy fabric. The beak of a mask bending toward me. Not to save. To confirm. Dead. They thought I was dead. Maybe I was. Maybe I still am. I slam the book shut and turn to leave, when a soft noise stops me. A whisper. Not words. Just the shape of them. It comes from the back room, behind a curtain of yellowing linen. I push it aside. A patient's cot. Empty. But something is carved into the wall above it, etched deep into the plaster with a blade or broken nail. A series of circles, 7 of them overlapping. And beneath, those who sleep beneath the 7th will never wake alone. A symbol, a warning, or a key. I draw it quickly in the dirt with my finger, trying to memorize the pattern. But my hand moves oddly, like it's done this before. Like it's done this exact motion, over and over. Why does my body remember what my mind has lost? I walk out into the street, dazed. My limbs ache as if they've carried years, and perhaps they have. A man walks by me. I freeze. Not a shadow, not a trick of the mist. A man, real, tall, hooded, gloved. He does not look at me, does not break stride. I call out, no response. I follow. He walks with purpose, taking streets I don't know I know. Down alleys and side lanes, always just ahead. Never speeding up, never slowing down. Then he stops. At the yew tree. I know it the moment I see it. From the painting on my childhood wall. From dreams I've never named. Twisted and black. Its limbs curled like beckoning fingers. Beneath it, a small mound of dirt, freshly turned. The man kneels beside it. He removes one glove. His hand is skeletal, blackened at the fingertips, and trembling. He places something on the grave. It's the other glove, the twin of the one in my satchel. My breath catches, not just because of the glove, but because the name carved on the marker beneath it. It's mine. Clear now. Legible. Burned into the wood as if branded. I stumble forward. The man stands slowly. Turns. The beaked mask. The dark cloak. A plague doctor. He doesn't speak, but I feel something between us stretched taut. Recognition. Or warning. And then without a word, he vanishes into the mist. Just gone. I kneel at the grave. My grave. And for the first time, I speak it aloud. My name. Only. I still don't hear it. Even as my lips shape it, the sound is eaten by the air. As if the world itself has chosen to forget me. The name vanishes the moment I speak it. Swallowed by the mist. Unacknowledged by wind. Unheard even by the hollow in my own chest. No echo. No confirmation. Just silence. I stare at the wooden marker, fingertips brushing the carved letters that should anchor me to this world, but feel more like someone else's story etched in wood. And then I notice something odd. A fine line of ash rings the grave. A circle, unbroken. Someone drew it with intention. A barrier, maybe. A spell. Or a seal. Why would they try to trap me? Or worse, keep something out? The ground beneath my knees feels warm. Not sun-warmed. Something deeper. As if it remembers holding a body that refused to stay still. The scent of crushed yew needles and scorched lavender stings my nose. I don't know whether I'm supposed to kneel here in mourning, gratitude, or apology. I back away slowly, rising to my feet. As I do, something flutters loose from the grave's edge. A scrap of paper, curled at the corners. I pick it up. The ink is faded, water-streaked, but I can still read the words. Do not wake them. Do not follow him. Them? Not just me, then. A fresh breeze blows through the graveyard, lifting strands of my hair and rattling the dead leaves in the yew's branches. But something in it makes me shiver. Not cold. Expectation. I'm being watched again. The sensation is no longer unfamiliar. It creeps in like damp under a door, and not all watchers want to be seen. I leave the yew behind, stepping back into the narrow path that leads behind the old chapel. The bell tower looms behind me now, crooked and hollow. And as I walk, I pass another grave, this one freshly disturbed. The soil is turned as if something left rather than was placed. There's no marker, no name, but a boot print, half faded, presses into the soil at the edge of the pit. Too large to be mine, too recent to be forgotten. I glance up and find myself staring at the back door of the chapel. It's open, just slightly. The scent hits me before I cross the threshold. Melted wax, dried roses, and something deeper, like damp stone and breath that never leaves the lungs. The chapel is a shell of what it once was. Candles lean in rusted sconces, their wax pooled like tears. Pews are pushed askew, as if a gathering ended in haste or panic. The altar cloth is torn down the middle as if slashed, and behind the pulpit, the statue of a saint has been defaced, its eyes gouged out, its hands snapped clean. A sound, subtle, rhythmic, breathing, but not fast, not scared, slow, purposeful. It comes from behind the altar. I approach with every nerve stretched tight. One step, two, then I see it. Not a man, not an animal, something curled into a crouch, back turned, cloaked in layers of tattered linen and ash. It breathes in slow, shallow bursts. And though I try not to make a sound, the moment I cross the line of flickering candlelight, it stills. The breathing stops. I stop too. The figure shifts, but only slightly. A hand reaches out, not toward me, but toward the wall beside it. With deliberate care, it begins to draw something in the soot. Circles, 7 of them, overlapping, identical to the carving in the apothecary. The final circle closes. Then the figure tilts its head, ever so slightly, as if listening. And then speaks, but not in a voice made for language. It's a rasp, a whisper cracked from disuse. But I understand it. You stepped outside your line. I say nothing. The figure doesn't turn. The bell did not finish. Still, I remain silent. You were halfway, and halfway things are hungry. It turns then, just slightly. Enough for me to glimpse a face that isn't quite a face. Hollow eyes. A mouth sewn half shut with thread that hums faintly in the candlelight. You must return, it says, before the others remember you. I open my mouth to speak, but what comes out is not my voice. It's a name I don't know. The figure jerks, recoiling slightly. Its hand curls around the soot it drew, smearing the circles. Too late now, it whispers, and vanishes. Not in smoke, not with fanfare. It's simply gone, like the sound of a bell you're no longer sure you heard. The candles gutter all at once. Darkness. Then, movement from the corners of the chapel. Not footsteps, breaths, multiple, short, fast, frantic. I run out the chapel doors into the chill of a deepening dusk that shouldn't be falling yet. The sky above is wrong, cloudless but dim, as though light itself is being siphoned away. I don't stop until I reach the edge of town. My legs tremble. The journal from the bell tower digs into my side, and I realize something I hadn't before. The further I walk, the heavier I become. Not in weight, but in presence. The town is remembering me, piece by piece. And with every memory, something sharpens behind me. Not a figure, not yet, but a shape forming in the fog. One that feels like it belongs to me, or is made of me. And the terrible question that follows, quiet and relentless, what happens when it catches up? The edge of town greets me not with fields or forests, but with a sudden, unsettling emptiness, as though the world simply ends here. No horizon, no road winding out to the next village. Just mist, thick and unyielding. A white wall that breathes cold against my face when I step too close. I reach my hand toward it. It resists, not like fog should, not like air, more like fabric, damp and stretched tight, as if the world beyond was stitched shut. I take a step back. The town behind me sighs like a sleeping creature turning in its bed. Roofs tilt, windows shudder in unseen wind, and from somewhere in the distance I hear something metal drag across stone. First turn, and the graveyard is ahead again. No matter how I walked, I've come full circle. The yew tree stands tall, twisted arms reaching up in mock praise. But now, someone's there. A man. No, not quite. His posture is human, but there's something in the way he moves. Too slow, too measured. Like a puppet waiting for a string to twitch. He wears the clothing of a gravedigger, heavy boots caked in old mud, a coarse wool tunic and gloves darkened by years of damp earth. His hat is low-brimmed, his face obscured by shadow, but it's his voice that halts me. Familiar, gravelly, whisper thick. Back again, are you? I say nothing, just stare. He lifts his head slightly, not enough to reveal his eyes. Didn't take, did it? The burial. A pause. A breath. Some don't. Sometimes the dirt spits 'em out. Doesn't want 'em. Doesn't know where to put 'em. His hand moves slowly to a spade propped against the tree. But he doesn't lift it. Just touches it, like an old friend. I dug that grave for you myself, he says. I swallow hard. You remember me? He chuckles. Number, but I remember your hands. Cold, stiff, like stone soaked in river water. You were quiet, though. That was a kindness. Some scream. My stomach turns. You buried screamers? Not anymore. He pauses. Not since the bell cracked. That again. I glance down at the grave I know is mine. Why didn't I stay buried? He shrugs. Maybe you didn't want to. Maybe you weren't supposed to. Another silence stretches between us, taut as thread. Then he leans forward, resting both hands on the top of the spade. You feel it yet? I frown. The weight. He taps his chest. It starts here, like grief but heavier, like guilt but older. The town presses in, remembers, reminds. It don't like holes in its story. A breeze stirs the leaves above us. What am I? He lifts his head higher now. I see his mouth, a line dry and cracked, but his eyes are still hidden beneath shadow. You're what's left when the story keeps going without you. He picks up the spade and walks past me. I turn to follow, but he gestures without looking. Don't. Not where I'm going. Some things you don't want to see dug up. He vanishes behind the stone wall of the cemetery, and suddenly the weight in my satchel feels unbearable. I find a bench near the gate. Rotting wood, iron legs twisted from weather. I sit. I have no idea how long I stay there. But the sky begins to shift. Not darker, just thinner. As if the light is being scraped away, layer by layer. The journal still sits in my lap. I open it again, flipping through pages that seem more alive each time I touch them. Names, symbols, diagrams, then a sketch. The yew tree, a ring of stones around it, and beneath them. Writing. Not Latin, not anything I recognize. But next to the sketch is a small, rushed note. If the gravedigger speaks, listen, but do not follow. Too late for that. The sound of boots returns. I look up, heart quickening. But it isn't him. It's a girl. Small. Thin. A red cloak wrapped tightly around her shoulders. She walks like she's tracing a path she's walked 100 times. Like she never left. She doesn't see me. Or pretends not to. She walks to the yew tree, kneels at its base and starts to dig. Not with a shovel, with her hands. I rise slowly. Are you? She looks at me, and in that moment, the world stills. Her eyes are strange, not glowing, not lifeless, just wrong. Too knowing. Too old. She says nothing, but her hands continue to dig. The dirt parts easily beneath her fingers, like it's been waiting. She pulls something from the soil, a pebble, but when she turns it in her hand, it glows faintly red, a pulse like a heartbeat. She holds it out to me. I don't take it. What is it? I ask. Her voice is soft, sing-song. It remembers. Remembers what? She smiles, not warmly. You, me, the before A pause. It doesn't matter anymore. She drops the pebble at my feet. It rolls to a stop beside my boot. Then she stands and walks away. No glance back, no sound of steps. She vanishes into the graves like a candle pinched out. I look down at the pebble, still glowing, faint, rhythmic. I don't know why, but I pick it up. It's warm in my palm, and it hums. A low, steady thrum, not mechanical, organic, like a memory still breathing. I drop it into my satchel, and that's when I feel it. A pull. Not behind me, not ahead. Beneath. Something under the graveyard stirs. The ground doesn't quake, but the stones shift ever so slightly. And from somewhere below, so far down it shouldn't be possible, I hear it. A whisper. Just one word. My name. And this time, I hear it, but I still don't remember it. And somehow, that's worse. I don't run. I want to. Every part of me wants to tear across the cemetery and vanish into whatever shadows the town will offer. But my feet refuse. Not because they're frozen, because they've remembered something my mind still hasn't. I was meant to hear that voice, even if it came from below. I turn slowly, facing the yew tree once more. Its limbs rattle gently in a wind I can't feel. The grave with my name still sits quiet, but the earth around it seems looser now, like something has shifted, settled, or stirred. I take a step closer. The pebble in my satchel hums harder, sinking to my pulse. Or maybe I'm sinking to its. I kneel down beside the grave. The ash ring around it has broken, cracked open where the little girl dug, the seal no longer whole. Whatever it was meant to keep in or out has been breached. A part of me wants to fix it, to redraw the circle, but I don't know how. And some deeper part of me knows that even if I could, it's already too late. I lean forward, pressing my hand to the soil. It's warm, too warm. I close my eyes. A memory flickers. Not a full scene, just a sensation. Damp cloth pressed to my forehead. The sound of distant church bells. Someone whispering, "Sleep now. It's only fever." Then, darkness. And then, this. I open my eyes. Still here. Still wrong. I rise and begin walking again, unsure of where I'm going, but certain I shouldn't be still. And that's when I see it. A shadow ahead, human-shaped, standing between two tilted gravestones. It doesn't move. I stop. So does it. A test. I shift slightly to the right. It follows, but not like a mirror. Not like something mimicking me. Like something watching me from a thread stretched tight. I squint into the haze. The figure is dressed in black. Tall. Motionless. No visible face beneath its hood. But I know without doubt, it sees me. And even worse, it remembers me. I whisper something. I'm not sure what. A name? A prayer? But the figure does not respond. Then it turns, very slowly, and begins to walk away. It doesn't disappear. It walks, and I follow. Because curiosity, in moments like this, is stronger than fear. The figure leads me through a path I didn't know existed, between the oldest stones, the ones worn flat with age, names melted off by weather and time, past a crumbling stone wall, through a gate I never noticed before, though it's been there long enough to be choked in ivy. Beyond it is a garden, but not one for the living. No flowers, no tools, just rows of worn shoes, laid out with care, left and right, matched and cleaned. Some are child-sized, others enormous. Some bear the markings of labor, leather split, soles frayed. Others are pristine, and at the center, the figure waits. It points downward. I hesitate. The shoes beneath my feet are familiar. Not the style, the position. This is where I stood, before I died, before they took me to the grave. And suddenly I remember. They took my shoes off before they buried me. I look down. My feet are bare. They always have been. The figure does not move. It simply watches. And for the first time, I feel the weight of being seen. Truly seen. Not feared, not pitied. Known. It raises its arm slowly and points to a nearby bench. Wooden, carved with names. I approach. One name has not been finished. Just the first letter, deeply etched, then abandoned. It's the letter A. Something clenches in my chest. My hands shake as I reach out and trace the groove. The moment my finger touches it, something under the bench clicks. A box. Small. Wooden. Hidden in a hollowed-out compartment. I lift it out slowly. It fits perfectly in my palms. The latch is rusted but yields easily. Inside, threads, needles, a comb, a lock of hair tied with ribbon, and a note. To the one who remembered too late. The handwriting is mine. I read it 3 times, but the words don't change. Beneath the note, folded and yellowed with time, a page torn from a larger book. It's written in symbols. Circles, lines, half faces. In the center, one sentence in Latin, scribbled in the margin. Dormientium corda post mortem pulsant. My Latin is fragmented, but I understand enough. The hearts of sleepers still beat after death. The figure steps closer. I look up. "Who are you?" I ask. Its head tilts. And then, so softly I barely hear it, it answers. "The part of you that stayed buried." I stagger back. The figure begins to break apart. Not dissolve, not vanish. It separates layer by layer like peeling cloth, revealing me, my face. Not as it is now, but as it was. Alive. Eyes open, afraid, hands outstretched, reaching, toward nothing, toward no one. Then it fades entirely. Gone. Only the shoes remain, and the memory. I sit on the bench and stare at the box in my lap. The comb, the ribboned hair. All parts of me once. Or maybe parts of someone I loved. The stone path beneath the garden is beginning to fade, as if the town has decided I've lingered here too long. And I understand something, at last. This place isn't real anymore. It's not illusion. It's memory. A memory so strong it became a cage. And I'm the only one who forgot to leave. I don't move from the bench. The box in my lap feels heavier by the second. Not in weight, but in consequence. As if opening it stole something back from time that never wanted to be returned. My hands tremble, and I let them. There's no use pretending I have control over this anymore. I stare at the stone path slowly dissolving beneath my feet. The seams between the stones blur first, then the cracks vanish, until only a smooth gray plain remains, like memory flattening into oblivion. It isn't just fading, it's being erased. The garden is unraveling. I close the box slowly, gently, reverently. And for the first time since I woke in that grave, I ask myself a question that sounds too much like a confession. What if this isn't about remembering who I am, but letting go of who I was? As if summoned by that thought, a low creak pulls my attention toward the far side of the garden. A wooden gate. One I didn't see before. It wasn't there before. It's open. Beyond it lies a narrow path lined with uneven cobbles. The edges shimmer, no, quiver, like the surface of water held under tension. A strange light filters from the other end, pale gold with hints of green, as if sunlight were trying to remember how to be warm. I stand slowly. The satchel slung over my shoulder thuds softly against my hip. Inside, the pebble still hums, but fainter now. like a heartbeat growing sleepy or distant. Each step toward the gate brings an ache deeper into my bones. My legs resist, my spine stiffens, and still I walk. Because some part of me knows this path is the next chapter, or the last. The moment I pass through the gate, the air changes. It's cleaner, cooler, and not as silent. I hear something, faint whispers, too soft to form words, but not random. They have rhythm, a shape. The path curves and leads me to a stone building I recognize before I even see the whole of it. The schoolhouse. Not as I saw it before, ruined and dusty, but intact, whole. Its roof straight, windows unbroken, paint vibrant on the shutters. There's even a child's laughter drifting from somewhere behind it. I step through the door. The desks are back in order. Chalk marks dance across the board, and sunlight spills through the windows in warm patches that ripple when I move through them. At the front of the room, on the teacher's desk, rests a new object, a map. I recognize the rough shape, the town, the cemetery, the bell tower, my home, the chapel, all drawn in careful lines, but something new is added, a red circle, not around the yew tree, not around the grave, around the well in the market square. I don't know why, but my heart starts racing. There was no well on the chalk map the children made, and now it's marked. I trace the circle with my fingertip. The moment I do, a sound booms from behind me, a bell, once, deep, fractured, splintered at the end, as though the metal tore itself apart trying to complete the note. I spin around. The classroom is empty. The desks are back to dust. The windows cracked. The laughter gone. The map is gone too. Just the imprint of it remains in the dust. I've slipped again. Not through time. Through memory. The veil between is thinner than I realized. I rush outside. The sky is dim now. Fully dim, not just haze. The clouds churn but never move. And the air holds a weight. Like the atmosphere itself is waiting for something to finish. I make my way toward the square. It's not far, but every step feels longer than the one before it. The buildings bend, the streets stretch, and I swear I see figures watching me from windows, still as mannequins, eyeless, breathless, and yet I know they see. The well waits in the center of the square, round and deep. Its stones are black with moss, and the rope has long since rotted off the pulley. But it doesn't feel abandoned. It feels awake. I approach slowly. A piece of parchment lies on the edge. I pick it up. Drop it in. If it's still yours, it'll come back. No name, no explanation, but I know what it means. I reach into my satchel and pull out the humming pebble. It quivers slightly in my palm, pulsing to a beat that almost feels like mine, but not quite. I look down into the well. It's dark. Far too dark. It doesn't reflect light. It absorbs it, as if it feeds on remembrance. I drop the pebble. It disappears into the void with a silence that screams. For a long moment, nothing happens. Then, a flash. A burst of warm light erupts from the mouth of the well. Not fire, not heat, just clarity. Blinding, golden, and clean. And in that moment, I hear voices. All the voices. My mother's. A child's laughter. A prayer whispered into fever. The hush of shovels on fresh soil. And my name. Clear this time. Ringing through my skull like the bell finally finished its toll. I stagger back. The light fades. I look down. The pebble is back. In my palm. Only now it's cold. Still. And a small crack splits its center, just wide enough to show a glimmer of red within. Like a heart. Broken open. And from somewhere behind me, the sound of footsteps. Software unhurried. Coming closer. The footsteps are slow, measured, almost delicate. Not like the doctor's or the child's, or even the figure in the graveyard. This is something else. Lighter. Human. I turn around, and for a moment, I forget to breathe. A woman stands at the edge of the square. Or maybe a girl. It's hard to tell. Her cloak is blue, the kind worn for mourning, but faded now, threadbare at the edges. Her hair is plaited in a style that feels familiar, not from memory, but from muscle. I've braided it before. My fingers know those turns, even if my mind can't trace their origin. She watches me with a calm that's more unsettling than menace, like she knows how this ends and is only waiting for me to catch up. She doesn't smile, doesn't blink, just tilts her head. "You came back," she says softly. Her voice is clear, no rasp, no whisper, and I realize something horrible. I know her. Not from this life, not even from memory. I know her the way you know your own breath, your own reflection. Not by thinking, by instinct. "You know my name," I say, not asking. She nods once. "Then tell me." "No." The word is final, gentle but immovable. "Why not?" She walks closer, steps silent on the stone. "Because if I speak it, you'll forget it again. That's the price." My hands curl into fists. I've been wandering this town. I've seen things, felt things. I know. She gestures to the pebble still resting in my palm. "You've started to wake." "To what?" "To what you were." I take a shaky breath. "Then tell me, why did they bury me?" She looks at me for a long moment, and then, "They didn't." The square grows colder. The fog thickens. "I don't understand," I whisper. She nods. "You will." She walks past me to the well. Her fingers trail along the rim, eyes closed. "When the plague came," she says, "some of us passed peacefully. Some screamed, and some lingered. You didn't die. Not in the way they needed you to." She turns to face me again. "You held on." "To what?" "Someone." My throat tightens. "Who?" She doesn't answer. Instead, she reaches into her cloak and removes something. A page, torn from a book. She hands it to me. It's not inked. It's burned. A scorched circle, black as pitch, surrounds a single handprint. Mine. Beneath it, one line etched into the page. "If they name you, you must leave." I look up sharply. "Leave where?" She doesn't reply. And then it hits me. The girl in the red cloak. The one who gave me the pebble. The one who played at the fountain. She looked like... My voice cracks. "Was she yours?" The woman's lips twitch. Not quite a smile. Not quite sorrow. "She was never mine." But I watched her. A pause. "She watched you." My knees almost give out. The memory floods in, not fully, but enough. A child at my door. I never opened it. I was too sick, or too scared. And then she was gone. Not just missing. Gone. Taken. Before the bell. Before the toll. I fall to my knees at the well, clutching the pebble tighter. "She came back," I whisper. "She always does," the woman says softly. "But not for long." My mind races, trying to grasp something solid. This town, it's not real. "It was," she says. "Then it wasn't. Now it's remembering itself through you." "Why me?" "Because you're the one who didn't leave when your name was called." She kneels beside me, her eyes sharp now, almost glowing. "And now you have a choice." I shake my head. "I don't understand the rules." "There are no rules," she says. "Only weight. Some things you carry too long. They pull you into the spaces between." I look at the pebble again. Its glow is gone, but the crack remains. "You said I was holding on to someone." Yes. Is it you? Her expression shifts, surprised, then tender. No. And yet, the answer doesn't feel like a lie, only part of the truth. She stands, brushing dust from her skirt. If you walk to the edge of the town, she says, you'll find the boundary again. It wouldn't let me pass. It might now. And if it doesn't, then you stay, she says simply, until you remember what you're still waiting for. She begins to walk away, back through the mist, toward the road. Wait, I call after her. She turns. What happens if I leave? Her head tilts. That depends on whether you're still alive. The words drop like stones into my gut. I don't know if I am. That's why it's a choice. I rise, legs shaking. And if I go the wrong way? She doesn't answer. Just fades. Not like smoke. Like memory. Faint and sweet and gone too soon. I look back down at the well. It no longer hums. The stone around it is cracked. I place the pebble back inside my satchel, even though it feels colder now. More inert. Like a relic that served its purpose. Then I walk. Through the square. Past the fountain. Past the schoolhouse. Toward the edge of the town. And as I walk, I ask myself one question, again and again. If I am still alive, why does this place feel more real than whatever waits beyond the mist? The road to the town's edge isn't the one I walked before. Or maybe it is, but bent, stretched by memory, folded in on itself like fabric someone tried to iron flat with a shaking hand. Doors I passed now lead nowhere. A tree I remember sits on the wrong side of the road. The bell tower stays in view far longer than it should, shrinking only reluctantly with distance. It feels like the town doesn't want to let me go. Or maybe it can't. The mist thickens as I near the boundary again, that same wall of damp resistance where the world once ended. But this time, it looks different, less solid, thinner, as though something or someone has been pushing from the other side. I lift my hand, half expecting it to bounce off like before, but my fingers pass through. Not all the way, not easily. There's a pull, like wind reversed or gravity confused, but it lets me in or out just a little. Behind me, the town exhales. I feel it in my spine. I take one more step forward. Pain lances through me. Not in the body, but in the shape of me. As if the very definition of myself is being tested, scraped, rewritten. The things that made me here, the house, the grave, the name I never reclaimed, begin to feel detached. Then, from deep in the mist, a whisper. Not the well, not the child, not even the bell. A voice I haven't heard before. You're not ready. It's spoken softly, but it knocks the breath out of me. Not from volume, from truth. I stumble back into the cobbled path, gasping like I've surfaced too fast from deep water. The mist closes again, sealing the boundary with a silent sigh. I sit hard on the ground, hands shaking. Still here, still in between. And then I hear something else. A shuffle of movement behind me, not far. First turn. The square is distant now, half swallowed by gray. But near me, pressed against a low stone wall, is something I hadn't seen before. A small school slate cracked down the middle. Resting against it is a folded cloth. I reach for it, unfolding gently. Inside is a charcoal sketch. A map. Not of the town, of the tunnels beneath it. Lines spiral and curl. There's no symmetry, no logic. The roots of the yew tree are drawn thicker than the streets. The chapel is sketched like it sinks instead of rising. And deep beneath the market square, marked with a heavy circle, is a word scratched hard into the parchment. Below. That's it. No legend, no names, just below. As if everything I've seen was only the surface, and something beneath still waits. The cloth the map was wrapped in is oddly clean, embroidered with a symbol, overlapping circles. 7. The same pattern I've seen scratched into walls, drawn in ash, carved into the schoolroom. I whisper it aloud, not knowing why. 7 rings. Nothing answers, but something shifts inside me, like a gate unlatched, and the satchel at my side grows heavier. I pull out the pebble again. It no longer glows. The crack across it has widened, but inside I now see something more than red light. Something moves. Tiny. Slow. Like an insect under glass. Alive. I nearly drop it. Instead, I wrap it tightly in the cloth and place it back inside. The path behind me forks now, though I don't remember it ever doing so. To the right, the chapel. To the left, the market square. I choose left. The square is quieter than before. Too quiet. Even the wind has gone. The well sits as I left it, but something else catches my eye. The statue. I don't remember a statue being here. A figure tall and robed, carved in white stone. Its hands are outstretched, one palm up, one palm down, and in its chest, where a heart would be, is a hollow. Perfectly round. Empty. The same size as the pebble. I step closer, unsure whether to be terrified or amused. Is this all ceremony? Or warning? I reach into the satchel again, but before I pull the pebble out, I see something tucked behind the statue. A note. New. Written in dark, fresh ink. Don't give it back unless you're ready to stay. There's no signature, no mark, just the writing. My breath is shallow now. I glance up at the statue's eyes. They're closed, serene. I think for a moment. I see them twitch. A trick of the light, a gust of wind. But there's no wind. The sky overhead begins to pulse. Dimmer, brighter, like a lantern struggling against an encroaching tide. The weight of the satchel, the hum of the pebble, the ache in my chest. It's all building, pushing me toward a decision. I look down at the note again. Stay. The word hammers inside my skull like the unfinished toll of the broken bell. Stay. But stay in what? In who? I press my hand to the statue's chest. The stone is cold, but not dead. There's warmth beneath, like something waiting, not sleeping, not forgotten, just waiting. And I don't yet know if it's me or something else. But I'm starting to wonder if they're the same. I don't place the pebble in the statue's chest. Not yet. Instead, I step back, slowly, as though movement might provoke something I don't yet understand. My heart pounds, not from fear exactly, but from recognition. Of what, I don't know. But whatever this is, this moment, this offering, it's been waiting for me a long time. The hollow in the statue still gapes open like an unanswered question. I tuck the pebble back into the cloth and return it to the satchel. I can feel it twitching against my hip now, a faint, irregular throb, as though something inside it is getting impatient. The square remains deserted, though the feeling of being observed hasn't faded. In fact, it's deepened, thickened. Every closed window seems to be filled with watching, every corner with listening. Something is gathering. I turn toward the path leading out of the square and stop dead. The plague doctor stands at the far end of the road, cloaked, beaked, motionless. Not like before when he walked or followed or vanished. Now he simply stands, right where I need to go, as though he's part of the town itself. A gate that cannot be passed unless some toll is paid. I step forward. He raises a hand, palm outward, not in warning, in offering. Between his gloved fingers, he holds a page, torn and creased, edges singed. I move slowly toward him, unsure what I'll find in his gaze if he ever lets me see it. But he doesn't move again, just holds the page out, steady and patient. I take it. It's another sketch, the market square, but not as it is, as it was. Crowded, alive, merchants calling out their wares, children darting between carts, and in the center, me, kneeling at the statue, holding something, a red pebble. The people around me don't see it. They walk past me, around me. Some glance at me and flinch. Others whisper and cross themselves. In the image, I am alone, in the middle of everyone, unseen, but known. On the back of the page, 3 words are written. You chose silence. I look up at the doctor. He doesn't move. You were there, I say. His head tilts slightly. You saw? A long pause. Then the faintest nod. A flicker of emotion rises. Anger, confusion, grief. What did I do? No answer. Only his hand, now reaching out toward the satchel. Slow, deliberate. I flinch back. No. He stops, retracts his hand, then lifts it again, this time pointing. Not at me, but at the ground. I follow the direction of his gesture, and I see it. A crack in the stone, running across the square from the base of the statue all the way to the chapel steps. Narrow, almost invisible. But when I kneel and press my fingers to it, I feel warmth, movement, like breath in the stone. I stand again. The doctor is gone. The page is still in my hand. You chose silence. I tuck it into the satchel with the others and turn back toward the crack in the stone. I begin walking, following it as it leads out of the square and toward the chapel. The town grows quieter with every step, not just in sound, but in weight. Like the buildings are exhaling, relaxing now that I've picked up the trail they left for me. The chapel doors are ajar. Again. I push through. The interior is darker now. The candles have melted completely into pools of wax. The pews are gone, vanished, not broken. Only the altar remains, bathed in a strange half-light from the high window above. And behind it, exactly where the breathing figure once crouched, I see a stone trapdoor, previously hidden beneath rugs and dust, exposed, waiting. I approach slowly. No markings, no handle. But when I press my palm to it, something shifts. A low groan of stone on stone, and it opens. The stairs beneath descend into darkness so absolute it feels like the end of dreaming. The air is cold, not from temperature, but from absence. No sound, no movement, no promise, just below. I hesitate. Then I descend. 1 step, 2, 10. The light from the chapel fades behind me until it's nothing but memory. I don't count the steps after that. They spiral, and somewhere far below, I begin to hear it again. The bell. But not as before. This time the sound is clean, whole, a single toll, clear as glass. And then, another. Not louder, not closer, just truer. As if it's not ringing in the world, but in me. My foot hits level ground. The chamber opens before me, a massive underground vault lined with carved walls. 7 rings, interlocking, pulsing with dull amber light. In the center, a platform, and on it, myself, lying still, unmoving, eyes closed. Dressed not in the clothes I wear now, but in the garments I saw folded in the chest upstairs. The childhood tunic, the bent spoon tucked in the belt, a lock of hair over my chest. The pebble is in my double's hand, uncracked, unbroken. And beside that hand, a letter, sealed with wax, stamped with the symbol of the 7 rings. I step forward, afraid the body will vanish like all the rest. But it doesn't. It lies there, waiting. I reach down. The wax seal breaks at the slightest touch. Inside, the letter is short. You were meant to stay, but you refused to forget. That is your sin. That is your key. Welcome back. My hands shake. The pebble in the satchel begins to hum again. Faintly, urgently. And I begin to wonder, am I remembering or reawakening what was never supposed to be found? I stand over my own body. Not a corpse exactly. No rot, no stiffness. Just stillness. A paused breath. A sleep so deep it forgets it ever wanted to wake. The chest doesn't rise. The eyes remain shut. Yet the pebble in its hand pulses with a rhythm that matches mine exactly. I stare down at it. At me. There's something profoundly wrong about standing over your own form and feeling no fear. Just recognition. Like reading the last page of a book you don't remember writing, and somehow knowing the ending was never meant for someone else. The letter crumples in my hand. I don't need to read it again. You were meant to stay. That's the part that sticks. Stay where? In this chamber? In the town? In the in-between? I step closer to the body and kneel. My fingers hover above the pebble clutched in its palm. My palm. The cracked one in my satchel is still humming faintly, as if reacting to its twin, or its original. What happens if I switch them? I reach slowly, carefully peeling the fingers open. The skin is warm. That unnerves me more than anything else so far. I expected cold. I expected the waxy silence of something long dead. But this version of me is neither decayed nor rigid. Only waiting. I remove the pebble. The humming in my satchel intensifies, like a warning or a plea. I unwrap the cloth and place the cracked pebble in the hand of the sleeping version of myself. The moment the fingers curl around it, the body exhales, loudly, and vanishes. Not slowly, instantly. One moment it's there, the weight, the warmth, the shape of me lying still, and the next it's gone, leaving behind only the letter and a faint dusting of ash where the head once rested. And in my own hand, the pebble I took from the platform, whole, uncracked, now begins to warm, brighten. Its pulse syncs with mine. One beat, one breath, one truth. I'm alone again, but no longer split. No longer unsure who is walking and who is remembering. Stillness returns to the chamber. The 7 rings on the wall no longer glow. Whatever current ran through them has faded. I look around. Stone. Silence. And a single exit. The stairwell behind me, winding upward into a shaft of light that seems impossibly far. But I don't climb it. Not yet. There's something in the air. Movement. A presence just beyond the wall. Not behind it. Within it. I press my palm to the cold stone and feel the faintest thrum. A heartbeat? Number A choir of heartbeats. Dozens. Hundreds. Not loud. Not demanding. But there. Others. Just like me. Or unlike me in every way that matters. Trapped. Or choosing to remain. Sleepers who never fully crossed. Forgotten by the world above. Or choosing to forget the world entirely. A whisper follows the rhythm, a phrase I cannot unhear. They only forget when you stop remembering them. A weight settles in my chest. All this time I've been hunting a way out, a way back. But now the awful possibility unfurls slowly. What if I was never meant to go back? Not because I died, but because I was meant to witness. The in-between, the forgotten, the buried alive and memory-bound. I close my eyes and sit on the cold stone floor. The pebble in my hand is steady now, no longer humming. Content. The 7 rings remain dark, but the wall behind them has changed. A door. No handle. No hinges. Just a slit of light tracing its edge like a wound healing in reverse. I approach. It doesn't open for me. Not automatically. But when I touch the letter, the one that came with the sleeping body, It dissolves, like ink fleeing from truth. And the door begins to move, a slow, grinding shift of stone. The light beyond it is golden, almost blinding. It smells of parchment and sun-warmed dust, and something else. Home. I stand at its edge, heart thudding, one foot in shadow, the other already washed in light. And I ask the question I've been circling since the beginning. If I cross this door, do I return to the world, or leave it forever? Behind me, the town sleeps. Ahead, something waits. The pebble in my palm glows one final time, then cracks, a clean, perfect line down its center. It falls in two halves to the floor, and for the first time since I clawed out of that grave, I feel light. No satchel, no weight, no grief. Only one word, whispered not into my ears, but from within. Choose. The door stands open, not wide, just enough. A gap of light, golden and hazy, like morning through a curtain. I can smell things that don't belong in this place. Fresh bread, wet stone after rain, something warm and spiced that reminds me of a memory I no longer own. I don't step through. Not yet. Because this isn't a door. It's a question. One I don't understand enough to answer. I crouch beside the broken pebble. The two halves lie on the cold stone like seeds after the bloom. Their glow is gone, their hum silenced. But I don't feel grief. I feel full. Like whatever it was carrying, I now carry in me. I reach out and gather the pieces anyway, pressing them into my pocket. Not out of need, out of respect. Out of some unspoken sense that this story isn't done just because a door appears. Behind me, the stair still waits, spiraling upward toward a chapel that may or may not still be there. The square, the statue, the child with the red cloak. I wonder now if they were ever separate things, or if all of them were parts of me. Fragments, like the pebble, each holding a truth I refused to face until I had no choice but to live it. Or die inside it. I turn back to the door. The light flickers, just once, like a breath taken in surprise. Then I hear it. Laughter. Faint. Familiar. A child. A girl. I spin around, and she's there. Sitting at the edge of the chamber, legs swinging just above the ground, cloak pooling like a splash of ink. She watches me with her head tilted, eyes bright and too knowing for her small face. "You made it," she says. I can't speak. "I didn't think you would," she adds, like it's the most normal thing in the world. I take a slow step forward. Why are you here?" She shrugs, picking at a thread on her cloak. "I always was." "Always?" She nods. "Some doors don't open unless someone else remembers you're behind them." I stare at her, and the pieces begin to fall into place. Not memories, but meanings. "You were never trying to lead me out," I say slowly. "Nope. You were leading me down." Why?" Her smile fades slightly, not into sadness, into something deeper. A kind of ancient stillness I didn't think children could wear. "Because you left," she says softly. "But you never let go." The words settle into my bones like truth. I fall to my knees, eyes stinging. I didn't mean to. I know. She hops down from her perch and walks over, placing one tiny hand against my cheek. "You remembered me?" she whispers, and I realize I did. Not everything. Not her name. Not the exact moment, but the feeling, the ache of a door not opened, a voice not answered, a silence that should have held words. She pulls something from the folds of her cloak, a comb, simple, wooden, mine. She presses it into my hand and curls my fingers around it. "This time," she says, "you don't have to leave." And then she steps back into the shadows behind the rings and disappears. I stare down at the comb, the one from the satchel, the one I'd forgotten even mattered. And suddenly, I know exactly what to do. I walk to the center of the chamber and kneel where the other version of myself once lay. I place the comb on the stone, the letter, the two halves of the pebble, the ash, the satchel emptied, each piece like a breadcrumb, leading me back to a truth I'd buried. And for the first time I ask, not the town, not the voices, not the memory. I ask myself, am I ready to stay? And the answer, silent and soft, fills the room without sound. Yes, but only if you choose it. I rise, walk toward the door. My footsteps don't echo, they resonate, not hollow, whole. At the threshold, I pause. Behind me is a grave I crawled out of, a chapel that buried its secrets, a bell tower that rang half a name, a town filled with versions of me. Some I followed, some I feared. And ahead, a new forgetting, or a deeper remembering. I take one step forward, and everything changes. Not the world, not the light. Me. I don't dissolve. I don't vanish. I merge with all of it. The watcher, the child, the gravedigger, the breath behind the altar, the one who forgot, the one who remembered, the one who stayed behind the door, and finally, the one who chose. There is no floor beneath the next step, no solid ground, no jolt of landing, just warmth. I fall without falling, drifting forward as though the air itself has become thick enough to hold me. Around me, the golden light hums like 1,000 small voices whispering in agreement. Not words, just presence. Then, color. A world begins to sketch itself into being around me, as if the very act of stepping forward summoned it. A forest, tall, ancient, impossible. Trees with bark like folded paper, leaves the color of old dreams. The light slants through the branches in soft amber bands, dust motes dancing lazily. Everything here feels before pain, before forgetting. I breathe, and the air tastes like honey and wood smoke. My hands still tremble, but not from fear now, from awe. I am not alone, not in the way I was before, surrounded by people-shaped silences. Here I feel the weight of every being nearby, even if I cannot see them. Memories wrapped in shape, shapes wrapped in breath. I take a cautious step onto the forest path, lined with smooth stones that feel warm beneath my bare feet. The satchel is gone. The letters, the comb, the shattered pebble, left behind in that underground chamber like old keys to a door I finally stepped through. And yet, the knowledge remains. As if I swallowed those fragments whole, and now they burn gently behind my ribs. A soft breeze presses against my back, urging me forward. The trees open into a clearing. At its center, a table, carved from dark, gnarled wood, circular, no chairs, just 7 objects placed evenly across its surface. A bell, a red cloak, a child's slate, a broken beak mask, a glove, a doll missing both eyes, a comb. I don't touch them. I don't need to. I know them. They are me. Not literal, not historical, but emotional imprints. Everything I carried, and everything that carried me. I circle the table slowly. The bell is whole now, its surface unmarred. But I know the sound it once failed to finish. The red cloak is folded neatly, child-sized, its edge worn where it was once gripped in fear. The slate is unmarked, a blank page, but I know the M's once scrawled across it. The plague doctor's mask is cracked along the seam of the beak, as though it, too, has lost its ability to hide. The glove is mine. The one I never found the match for. and now it lies beside its twin. The doll, sightless and small, faces me with a soft tilt of the head, as though still listening. And the comb, the same one that passed from memory to memory, is clean now, smooth, whole. I do not cry. The tears already lived and died with another version of me. But my chest aches, not with loss, with space. Room to breathe, at last. I speak aloud, though I don't know why. I remember you, not to anyone specific, to all of it. The stories, the symbols, the failures, the moments I turned away, the voices I didn't answer, the door I didn't open, and the name I never spoke, my own. Because the truth is, I still don't know it. Not as a word, but I know its shape, its silence, its scars. And for now, that's enough. The forest darkens slightly, not with threat, but with evening, as though even this world must sleep eventually. At the far end of the clearing, another path winds out between two wide trees. A gate, no latch, just an opening. I walk toward it, not because I've been told to, but because I want to. And for the first time, the wanting is mine. I cross into a meadow, wide, golden, endless. And there, sitting beneath a tree whose branches touch the sky and its roots the sea, is a figure, not cloaked, not masked, not child or shadow or memory, just someone sitting, waiting. I approach slowly. The figure looks up, smiles, and speaks my name, the name I never knew, and yet knew all along. It lands like sunlight across water, software irrefutable. I don't need to respond. They already know I've heard it. We sit together beneath the tree, saying nothing, because nothing needs to be said anymore. And for the first time since I clawed myself out of the grave, I feel alive. The tree hums. Not like a sound exactly, but like a presence radiating from deep within its trunk. A slow rhythm, like a heartbeat buried in roots older than time. Its leaves sway even though there's no breeze. They shimmer with an odd translucence, almost like the parchment pages I once carried. Thin, golden, full of secrets. The figure beside me does not speak again. They don't need to. Their presence feels like an answer to every question I no longer need to ask. We sit in silence as the meadow softens around us, the sky shifting between colors I cannot name, soft purples that melt into gold, hints of deep blue that hold stars even in daylight. I've never seen this place, but somehow I've been here, in dreams, in death, in memory. It doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that I am not alone. We watch as something stirs on the horizon, a slow movement, deliberate and distant. Shapes, not figures, not animals, just suggestions of movement, the kind you see at the edge of your vision in half sleep. They're coming back, the figure says quietly. Their voice is not the same as before. Not female, not male, just familiar. Like my own, slightly older, wiser, weathered by storms I haven't yet lived. Who? The ones who stayed buried, but only in body. I nod. I think I understand. Those who forgot the forgetting. The sleepers who were never truly asleep. They felt you, the figure adds, when you opened the door. I didn't mean to, I say. But you did. A breeze picks up, brushing soft grass against my skin. I can feel each blade distinctly. Every sensation is vivid now, realer than anything in the waking world. Or maybe this is the waking world, and everything else was only memory, barely held together. I close my eyes. I hear voices again, but not frightening ones. These are gentle, layered, like a chorus speaking in a language I don't know, but somehow understand. They're not calling you back, the figure says. No? Number, they're inviting you forward. I open my eyes. The horizon is closer now, the shapes clearer. People, yes, but not like the shadows I knew in the town. These are luminous, faceless, but radiant. They carry objects, small, personal things. A dollar, a slate, a red cloak. They're not ghosts. They're not memories. They're echoes. Each one carries what I once touched, once left behind. As if my passage through that town of silence stirred everything long still. And now, they follow the trail, toward me. Why? I ask softly. Because someone remembered them, the figure says. But I didn't know their names. You didn't have to. You carried their grief. You listened. A pause. That's all memory really needs. The meadow ripples like a pond struck by rain. I look up at the branches of the tree, and for a moment I see them. Ribbons. Strips of fabric tied lovingly to the limbs. Some frayed, some bright. Each one bears a symbol. A ring, a stitch, a letter. Not words, just marks of existence. Proof that someone once mattered. I rise. So does the figure. They nod toward the approaching crowd. You can go with them, they say. To where? A smile, thin and knowing. Somewhere new? Or stay. Here? Here. The choice hangs between us. Weightless, beautiful, difficult. I look down at the comb still tucked into my hand. Not the one from the grave. The real one. The one I used once, long ago, to braid hair I no longer remember touching. The wood is smooth, worn at the edges. This I kept. Through death, through forgetting, through wandering and wakefulness. This is mine. I close my hand around it. I think I know now, I say. The figure raises an eyebrow. Know what? Why I woke up? Their expression softens. Go on. Not to escape, not to be remembered. A pause. To remember. The tree shudders, its roots shifting softly in the earth. The crowd is at the edge of the clearing now. One steps forward. A child, face obscured in golden haze. They reach out a hand, not to take me, to walk with me. Behind them, others gather. The plague doctor, no longer cloaked, just a man with kind, tired eyes. The red-cloaked girl, her hands full of pebbles, each glowing faintly, as if ready to be offered again. The gravedigger, the bell ringer. Even the house with the mirror that wouldn't show my face feels present in the sway of the grass. Everything I lived, everything I lost, everything I chose. I turn to the figure beneath the tree. Will I remember this? No, they say gently, but it will remember you. And with that, they are gone. Not vanished, absorbed, into the tree, into the ribbons, into the air itself, as if they were only ever my reflection. Older, kinder, waiting for me to catch up. I step into the meadow. The child takes my hand. We walk forward, not to return, not to rest, but to carry forward the stories of those who could not speak. And maybe, just maybe, to keep the world from forgetting what it's still learning to remember. The meadow opens wider the farther we walk, as if our movement gives it permission to expand. The golden light never fades, but it shifts, softens, until it feels less like sunlight and more like the breath of something ancient, something kind. The child's hand in mine is small and firm, grounded in a way that makes me feel unreal by comparison. Their grip doesn't pull or push. It simply holds. A tether, not a chain. Around us, the others walk too. Some I recognize, if not by face, then by presence. The girl in the red cloak skipping quietly ahead, pebbles rattling in her pocket. The doctor trailing behind, gloved hands clasped, not solemn but not quite at peace. The gravedigger walking alone, whispering to himself in a language only soil understands. But others are new. A woman carrying a bucket with nothing inside it but a feather. A child with an eyeless doll pressed to their chest. An old man holding a half-burned bell rope, walking like the toll still echoes in his spine. They all walk in the same direction, but none of us seem in a hurry. It's a procession without purpose, or rather, without urgency, as if the act of moving forward is the purpose in itself. No one speaks, but the silence is not heavy. It breathes. I glance behind me once. The tree is nearly gone now, its great limbs reduced to a silhouette against a sky that's grown wider, deeper. The ribbons hanging from its branches shimmer like memory in motion, not waving goodbye, just waving. Ahead, the ground changes. Still meadow, but not soft. The grass here is tougher, silver-edged. The stones beneath it are dark gray, smooth, arranged in spirals like the rings from the chamber underground. Except now they glow faintly beneath our feet, and each step over them hums with a resonance I feel more than hear. The child stops at the edge of the spiral. I pause beside them. They look up at me with eyes too bright to be bound by this place. "You have to walk this part alone," they say. My chest tightens. Why? Because what's on the other side is yours. I kneel. "Will I see you again?" They nod once, but offer no promise of when or where. Just the kind of nod you give when you've walked this path yourself and survived it. They press something into my hand. A stone. No crack, no glow, just solid, cool, etched with a single mark. A circle. Incomplete. I look up to ask what it means, but they're already walking back, vanishing into the meadow without fanfare, as if they were never really separate from it to begin with. I rise, take a breath, and step onto the spiral path. Each circle pulls me inward. Each footfall releases something. The smell of rosemary and ash from the house I once called mine. The ragged edge of my name carved into a forgotten marker. The faint music of laughter behind the schoolhouse door. Each is released as I pass. Not forgotten, but set free. At the center of the spiral is a stone basin. Simple, still. Inside, water, clear, and at the bottom, my reflection. Not as I am now, not a ghost, not a memory, just me, whole, wearing everything I've ever been like a well-fitting coat. I lean forward, and the surface shifts. Now I see others, faces of those who walked before me and after, those who never woke from their graves, those who were buried in silence, those who held a comb, a pebble, a name, but never got the chance to understand them. I see them all, and they see me. Then the image fades, and only my own face remains, calm, at rest, but alert, ready. I cup my hands into the basin. The water feels impossibly soft, not wet, not cold, like silk spun from memory. I lift it to my lips and drink. The taste is everything. Salt and sugar, smoke and wind, honey and sorrow. It hurts and heals in the same breath. And when it's gone, I feel something inside me loosen. A knot I didn't know was tied. My shoulders fall, my fingers unclench, and I say aloud, "I'm not afraid anymore." A breeze picks up. A path opens forward, between two standing stones, tall and engraved with unreadable runes. Between them, golden light, like the one behind the door, but warmer now, alive, waiting. I take one last look behind me. No one follows. They've taken their own paths. This one, this choice, is mine alone. I step through the stones, and the world falls away. Not like a collapse, like an exhale. The meadow, the basin, the tree, all dissolving into the softness of a story completed. And in the stillness that follows, I hear a voice, not outside me, within. You've walked the edge. You've carried the echoes. Now let go. I nod. I understand. At last. There is no sensation of travel, no wind, no shift beneath my feet, no flash of light. Just a feeling of immense stillness, like the space between heartbeats. Long, suspended, infinite. And then, a breath. My breath. Drawn and slow, deliberate, deep, I open my eyes. The light is dimmer here, softer. Not golden, not the heavy gray of the plague-shadowed town. This place feels closer to twilight, a moment held between sun and moon, between memory and dream. I'm standing in a wide stone corridor. Walls curved, arched overhead like the inside of a ribcage. Smooth stone polished by time or touch, each surface etched faintly with symbols. Not words, not names, just marks. 7 lines, 7 rings, overlapping, repeating, always 7. I reach out, run my fingertips across one. The stone is warm, faintly pulsing. I press my palm to it. Something shudders. Not the wall, me, inside my chest, like a door within a door. I pull my hand back. A sound echoes through the corridor. Not footsteps, not breathing, singing, soft and fragmented, like a lullaby half forgotten. I follow it. Around the bend, the corridor opens into a vast chamber. Candlelight flickers from floating glass globes. The walls ripple with movement, not physical, but visual. Shapes in the stone, faces, hands, pieces of moments frozen like smoke inside amber. They're watching, not malevolently, just attentively. I walk forward. In the center of the chamber is a platform, low and circular, ringed with 7 bowls. Each holds something different. A torn page, a red thread, a cracked mirror shard, a wax seal, a broken spoon, a tiny bell with no clapper, and in the last bowl, ashes. The singing stops. The silence that follows is alive. I kneel, not in reverence, in recognition. Each bowl contains something I've touched, something I've lost, something I've carried. The mirror from the house that would not show me. The spoon from the chest in my forgotten room. The bell that never finished its song. This isn't a shrine. It's an inventory of everything I buried and everything that buried me. I reach into the bowl of ashes, let the grains sift through my fingers, soft where dry, then warm, and then hot. I gasp, pull my hand away, and a shape rises from the center of the platform. Not a person, a figure made of smoke and shadow and flickering memory. No face, but familiar. The same height as me, same posture, same rhythm in its breath. I stand slowly, it stands too. We face each other, and I understand. This is the part of me that never woke, the one who stayed asleep, the one who accepted the grave. It moves forward. We stand nearly toe to toe now, and then without words, it lifts its hand, touches my chest, and I feel it. A jolt, not pain, recognition, all the fear, all the silence, all the lost names and missed chances, not taken from me, not healed, just held, with me now, whole. I reach out and touch it back. Its form ripples and begins to melt into light. It pours into me like memory reversed. 1,000 whispered stories I never let myself hear. And suddenly, I remember. The first breath of fever, the candle beside the bed, the sound of the bell being rung once, and then silence. They thought I was gone. They buried me. But something inside refused. Not because I feared death, because I had not finished listening. The chamber darkens slightly. The bowls fade one by one, ashes first, then thread, then spoon, until only the torn page remains. Blank. waiting. A single quill lies beside it, dipped in gold. I understand what's being asked of me. I lift the quill. I write one word. Not a name, not mine, just a truth. Witness. The page glows, lifts from the bowl, and disappears. And I feel something inside me settle. No more running, no more reaching backward, no more needing to be remembered. I have become the memory, and the keeper of memory. The voice returns, not spoken aloud, but from deep within the stone itself. You have seen the echo. You have walked the fracture. You have returned whole. A pause. Then, will you open the last door? I nod, and the far wall of the chamber splits down the center. A soft line of white appears. The final threshold. Not back, not forward. Through. I step toward it. Not to escape, not to arrive, but to finally become the one who sees both sides and carries neither alone. The final door is not made of stone or wood. It is light. A thin veil of soft white, trembling slightly as though stirred by breath from a world I can't yet see. There are no markings on it. No rings, no instructions, no warnings, only presence. I pause just before it, the warmth of it curling around my skin like morning fog after a cold night. My fingers twitch, not from fear, but from something deeper. Reluctance or reverence. Behind me, the chamber is silent again. The bowl's empty, the walls still. But something remains, a weight in my chest that's no longer heavy. It's anchoring, like I've grown roots inside myself. For the first time since waking in that grave, I don't feel adrift. I place my palm against the light. It ripples, accepts me. I step through, and everything stops. No sound, no ground, no self, just a presence, all around. A place that isn't place, a time without sequence. I don't see it with eyes. I know it. A vastness filled with moments, all glowing, all breathing. Memories that don't belong to me, but feel like they could have. A woman dropping a comb into her daughter's hand before the fever takes her. A boy tracing circles into dust, alone in an abandoned schoolroom. A gravedigger carving names into wood with a knife that's grown too dull for the work. A bell ringer climbing steps with shaking legs, whispering a prayer he doesn't believe in just to keep moving. A doctor in a mask holding the hand of the dying, whispering comforts he can't promise are true. These are not visions. They are gifts, and I'm being asked to carry them, not for myself, for the world that forgot, for the ones who never got to say, I was here. I float, if you can call it that, among these fragments, and then I see it. One thread, gleaming, running through them all. Mine, woven through each face, each hand, each choice. Not because I caused them, because I remembered them. That was always the point. Not to be saved, to bear witness. To be the one who stayed when the bells stopped ringing. The one who heard what silence tried to say. I stretch my hand out and touch that thread. It pulses once, and suddenly, I fall. Not down, not away, into, back into self, back into shape, back into breath and bone and body. The light gives way to air, cool, real. I'm kneeling in a field, not golden this time, not radiant, but familiar. Wild grass tickles my arms. The sky above is gray-blue, clouded, and all around me are stones, markers, graves. Not the town, not the dream. A real cemetery, overgrown, forgotten, but real. The wind carries the smell of damp earth, pine, and smoke. I stand. My limbs ache. I check my hands. The broken pebble is gone, but in my pocket I find something else. The comb, whole, polished smooth with use. I run my fingers along the teeth and a memory surfaces, not clear but strong. A hand on my shoulder. A voice saying, "Brush it gently. Start at the ends." I don't know whose voice it is, but I know I loved them. And I remember not brushing their hair when they asked. I remember promising later. But later never came. Until now. The wind picks up, and I feel it again. The weight. Not grief. Responsibility. I walk through the graves, past names I do not know. Some have fallen, some have faded, some are blank. I don't cry. I speak, a whisper to the stillness. I remember you, and the wind stills. Just for a moment, as if the earth itself nods, as if the story was waiting for someone to say those words aloud. I don't know where I am. Not exactly. But I know why I'm here. I sit at the edge of one crooked stone, pull out the comb, and hold it in both hands. Then I close my eyes, and I listen. To all the names the world tried to bury, and all the stories it failed to finish. And I say, I will carry you. The clouds above drift slowly, indifferent to my presence. Somewhere far off, a bird calls, sharp, solitary. The sound feels jarring after so much silence, as if the world is testing me, making sure I can still hear. I can. I hear everything now. The grass shifting, the earth breathing, the wind curling through names carved and worn away. I rise from the crooked stone and look around the overgrown cemetery. There's no sign of the golden meadow, no spiral basin, no tree with ribboned limbs, only moss-covered slabs and broken fences, iron rusted by time and rain. And yet, the quiet here feels different than the quiet of the town I woke in. This quiet doesn't echo with forgetting. It holds space. It remembers, even the forgotten. I step lightly through the narrow path, brushing past weeds that tickle my ankles. My hand slides along the top of a crumbling wall. As I walk, I begin to hum, a tune I don't know until I hear it in my own throat. Software slow, lullaby-like. The same rhythm the child once hummed when I followed her through that place of ash and memory. I stop at a gate barely hanging on its hinges. Beyond it, the town. But not that town. This one is real, modern. Cars parked crookedly against cracked curbs, windows with drawn curtains, smoke rising from a chimney. The air carries the unmistakable scent of life. Meat cooking, soap from laundry, the dusty sweetness of sun-warmed pavement. I step through the gate, and time settles back around me like a long abandoned coat. The people I pass do not see me, not at first, but they move slightly when I approach, as though something in them recognizes a pressure in the air. And then, at the edge of the market square, I stop, because it's here. The statue, not towering, not glowing, just stone. A simple figure, no face, no plaque, just open hands, one palm up, one palm down. It's crumbling slightly at the base. Graffiti scars its side. A vine coils along the ankle, but it's still here. A child sits near it, drawing with chalk on the pavement. Circles, 7 of them, overlapping. No one else seems to notice. The child glances up and smiles at me, and for a second, she has no face. Then she does, freckled, soft-eyed, hair tied with a red ribbon. "Want to draw?" she asks, holding out a bit of chalk. I kneel beside her, take the chalk, and draw the 8th circle. She gasps. "You're not supposed to," she whispers. "Why not?" She shrugs. "That's what they say." I smile gently. "But you're not them." She nods and draws a line connecting all 8. When she finishes, she leans close and whispers, "I remember you." And in that moment, so do I. Not the whole name, Not the full life, but enough. The taste of cinnamon on winter bread, the smell of ink and parchment, the heat of a hand held too briefly in the dark. Not facts, feelings, the kind that survive plague and burial and silence. I look up at the statue, and I whisper, "Thank you." Not for guarding, but for waiting. The girl pats my arm, then runs off, leaving her chalk behind. I pick it up, and I write a single word at the statue's base. Witness. Not for me. For whoever walks by and wonders why the air here feels just a little heavier, a little softer. Why their breath catches when they hear a bell ring once with no follow-up. Why they remember something they never lived. I leave the square. No longer a ghost. No longer a grave. Just someone walking in a world still aching to remember. At the edge of the town, I pause. Turn back. And for a moment, just a moment, I swear I see them. The girl in the red cloak. The bell ringer. The doctor. The shadow I once feared, now waving gently. I smile, whisper my final words. I didn't forget. And the wind answers. Neither did we. So now, dreamer, let the lantern dim. Let the wind settle. Let your breath soften. You've walked with me through plague-shadowed streets and candlelit chapels. You've wandered between worlds where the living forget and the dead remember. You've carried a pebble that pulsed with memory and watched it crack with the weight of truth. But here now, nothing is required of you. No more names to recall, no doors to open, no graves to escape. Just stillness, just rest. Let the hush of the cemetery fold around you like a blanket. Let the soft crunch of moss beneath your feet echo somewhere safe. The stories are quiet now, not ended, just sleeping. If you listen closely, you might still hear them. Not words, not voices, just the slow, sacred rhythm of those who once were and never truly left. You were the witness. You were the waking. And now, you can rest. There's nothing more to remember tonight. You've been there. Now come back slowly. You're home.